You guys knew this video was coming. No crazy intro, no dislike comparison today. I'm going to lay into my favorite character in ZZZ, and we're going to figure out where it all went wrong. Welcome back to my series where I talk about ZZZ characters and whether they're peak cinema or the worst thing imaginable. Today we got a bit of both here, with Mr. Bigger being our second to last tank that we have to talk about. If you haven't seen before, I recently made 2 videos talking about how the tank class suffers from an identity crisis in this game, with Caesar being the weakest value to pull for, in my opinion, and Seth's moveset being designed in the most confusing way possible. After this one, I'll be talking about how Yinhu is the closest thing we'll get to a great defense agent, but even he has his own share of problems. Also, a little bit of a disclaimer or announcement or whatever. Jesus, I'm looking at this paragraph after rewriting it and oh my god, I don't know when to shut up. I know a lot of these videos make it seem like or come off as if I'm rage baiting for views or that I don't like this game at all, but it's actually quite the opposite. Even with a lot of the issues I have with these characters, I genuinely don't care that much at the end of the day. I just want to voice my opinions about specific characters in my favorite gacha game and share them with others who also might agree. No, I'm not saying this because everybody hated the Astra video. I still stand by it, she's boring. I just don't want people to think that I actually hate Zenless. I wouldn't have perfect attendance in this game and be Intronaut level 60 if I actually hated it. I don't know many people that would continue to play games that they actively hate or... Okay, well, that's different, right? Honestly, I blame the way how YouTube works and how the negative stuff naturally gets more attention because humanity loves to thrive off of negativity. Hell, my most popular video is the one where I'm talking about one thing I hate about everyone in ZZZ. That video was months ago and people are still tuning in and commenting on it. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful and all that, but I'm still getting comments that are upset that I'm making comments about their favorites like this. I now understand why opinion disclaimers are important in videos because I did not have one for that one. And people are ripping me to shreds in the comments to this day. Look, I'm not saying that y'all can't criticize me. I actually love criticism. Please do tell me what I need to do to make my videos more enjoyable for y'all. But y'all can't sit here and say that I'm a rage baiter or that I hate the game just because I made a video talking about why I dislike your favorite ZZZ character. That's just like stupid chronically online BS, man. Come on now. I don't want to chalk it up to doing it because YouTube's algorithm sucks, especially for gacha games, but look at the statistics. I made a video talking about Evelyn and how much I actually love her, but it didn't even get half of the attention the Astra video got. So don't get mad at me when nearly every video I make from here on out is going to be something critical rather than heartwarming, because YouTube is telling me that people don't like this stuff, so naturally I'm going to stop doing it. And also, if you don't like what you see, just don't watch it. I don't need to read an MLA formatted essay about you defending Astra and how skillful she is and how you don't want to learn how to press spacebar every now and again. I'm very scared to see how these people will continue to clear content in the future, especially when Zenless adds more bosses that you actually have to interact with. Because even though this game is easy, it sure as hell isn't a mash fest, even with Astra. But I digress. Long ass tangent over. None of this really matters and the sun is gonna blow up in the end, so let's get back to talking about this fictional bear that I wanna have sexual relations with. As always, leave a like and consider subscribing afterwards. Let's get into it. Ben Bigger being our first defense agent could not have been more fitting at the time of ZZZ's release. He was the only one that could provide shields and had a great counter that interrupted bosses. He was fantastic for clearing early game, serving as an AoE sub DPS or stunner that could happily keep you assist point positive and healthy throughout early game commissions. The devs are so generous as to give you him for free at the beginning of chapter 2 as well. Him also being Coletta's best partner meant that people who got her as their first S rank already had a team going, especially if they pulled Anton as well. Ben served as a slot to fill for second teams once people decided to build outside of the Cunning Hares. I personally ran main DPS Grace, Coletta, and Ben all the way through chapter 3 and it was fun. But now, in a world where Void Hunters and Grandmasters are running rampant, supports press one button to win the game, and stunners, weapons, and passives just give them the stun freeze for free now, Ben's been at the bottom of the list when it comes to viability and usage on fire teams. Hell, even on teams in general. Not only is he cursed with the 1.0 additional ability requirement of Element and Faction, but he is also tied to probably the worst faction in the game. So the only way to make use of him is to use him with literally any fire unit that isn't Coleta. It's like how in Fire Emblem Engage, the majority of the Pyrenees units are hot water dog shit compared to the later units you get, except for like 1 or 2 of them. Like, think of Ben being the Louis of Zenless, but with Boucheron's stat growth. Absolutely horrible unit. The thing that bothers me the most about Ben is that I don't understand why his kit is like this. Oh, he's just a 1.0 A rank. 4 stars are usually destined to be this bad, especially at the start of the game. Both of these characters' sole existence is living proof that you can make good characters from the get-go. And before you guys tell me in the comments, I know that he's bad because people aren't pulling for the bear, they're pulling for this. But I'm still allowed to be upset that my favorite character is designed like this. I just don't understand what's Hoyoverse's problem when it comes to defense agents, because in theory, they got some concepts, right? He can tank more hits even though you're not really supposed to be getting hit in the first place, and he gives shields. But that's kinda it? No, you don't get it. The crit rate that he gets from the shields, right? No. That's it. They just gave him this and then did fuck all afterwards. It's like they were in the studio saying, yeah, he gives Anton some crit rate, so let's just leave it at that and ship the game, you know? Not to mention his entire moveset being slow is his biggest downside. Not that I need to mention it, this guy isn't exactly going to be moving like Sonic the Hedgehog over here. His counter and ults are fine, but he suffers from the same thing that supports have, which is the fact that on-fielding with them is virtually pointless. Which is weird because the purpose of tanks in video games is to frontline, fight things head on in fact. But the moment you try to do that in Zenless, you're immediately punished for it in any type of timed content. This is also very confusing considering the game won't say that he's fully equipped until he puts on at least 2 pieces of Soul Rock. You know, the worst disk drive set in the game. On top of this, I have so many other questions about this goddamn bear. Like, why is his weapon so selfish? Why do they make it so that it's useless during the stun phase? Why is his additional ability so dog shit? Why is he the only character in this game that actually scales off of a different stat that isn't attack? Each one isn't even a true HP scaler, don't give me none of that. Ben was set up to fail from the beginning, and it absolutely saddens me because he is quite literally the coolest design that Hoyoverse has ever dropped, in my opinion. Miyabi and Yishuan don't count. They're automatically cooler than him, I know. But how often do you get to play as a bear in a karate-gi construction uniform with a massive ass pillar as a weapon? And don't say some whack ass MMO, because I'm not trying to hear all that. This isn't even furry bias or the fact that I want to get him pregnant bias either. He is genuinely one of the hardest characters Hoyoverse cooked up in a while, but he's literally the worst one to try and build teams around. Like, I'm being so dead ass when I say this. He puts the entire male cast of Star Rail to shame. And that, like, I could make a whole video talking about how Star Rail's designs are so fucking repetitive and boring, but that would stir up way too much drama and I'm not trying to be here for it. The last time that I was impressed with a Hoyoverse character was fucking Sela, and I'm still upset that I didn't get her to this day, regardless of if she's meta or not. So you can understand my frustrations with this character being the literal worst one in the game when he could have been so much more. And to those of you saying to just play DPS Ben, that's the entire reason I'm making this video. Why is it that characters like these are so much more fun to play as a main DPS rather than their intended role? This character hits like a fucking freight train when you just slap stats onto him, turning this bear into a 4500 attack beatstick that can attack directly. DPS Ben isn't the most satisfying thing to play in this game. Hell, it can actually be quite annoying sometimes considering that you have to use Lucy and that character might just be as inconsistent as Sao Cao Jump. But my goodness, is this such a fun comp to play? Granted, I literally put this build together with what I had on hand, so nothing is finalized just yet, but I was still shocked to see that I cleared Shiyu 7 with this rinky-dink team that I put together in 5 minutes. I feel like I shouldn't have been able to do this and that it's like extremely wrong, but then I realize that's the beauty of Zenless. This game is piss fucking easy to the point where I literally cleared with a stat stick dildo up Ben's ass. It should have been me, by the way. I hate the way this character's kit was originally designed, but my opinions don't matter in the end when I'm doing this with him. Not that, this with him. And to be honest, I'm glad this character has a newfound playstyle in the form of just raw damage, but I still would have liked a couple of things for his intended playstyle so that he actually impacts fights. So I'm going to use the remainder of this video to turn Ben into an S-rank defense unit. We're going to reimagine his kit and tweak a couple of things and make him into the perfect character.
Like the
Revising Ben bigger and turning him into an S rank unit. First off, we're gonna get rid of his faction requirement and make it so that he requires element and stun. Coletta fits both, but this will now allow him to be used with characters like Trigger so that we can have more impactful rotations on other teams that aren't mono fire. Next up, we're gonna give him an attack percent buff on his shield too. Can't be too much because he'd be considered a support if we jack him off. I mean, jack him up like this. So I think 10%, maybe 15 should be fine. We're also going to buff up his crit rate buff to 20% so that he can round out DPS agents a bit more. And to nerf some things to compensate for the AA changes, he will now scale off of his defense completely and only use 80% of his attack instead. Flip-flop in the script. This will make it so that there's actually a reason to farm for Soul Rock in this game. And the damage from his EX skill and ult will scale off of both his attack and defense, just in the reverse order. Because he deserves the world and you cannot stop me. Speaking of his EX skill, we're giving that shit a quick assist. And we're also giving the person who quick assists in from it a crit damage buff. Because why not? Have it be like 20% crit damage because he's a crit buffer, so why not, right? His copies are fine. I'd honestly just give him an energy regen copy because I don't know why they made an EX skill not have innate energy regen in his kit. So let's give him that on like maybe his M1 or something. Lastly, let's look at his weapon. Yeah, no, this shit is dog water. Let's keep the main stat, but instead, since he's a crit buffer, let's make it so that he applies a debuff every time he does his EX skill follow-up that grants guaranteed crit hits against enemies inflicted by it for about 5 seconds. And then there you go. Ben Bigger is now competitive with Astra Yao. And the crazy thing is that even if these changes were to be implemented, he'd still be one of the worst characters in the game somehow. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't matter. People are going to be clearing with DPS Ben regardless of what they do to him. And also, I still love this character with all my heart. There's virtually nothing that they can do to make me hate him. So yeah, he's ultimately the worst character in the game, but who cares? People are still clearing content to this day with free-to-play Ben Bigger teams, and I personally find that absolutely hilarious. So from a meta standpoint, he's not good. He's still a very amazing character in my eyes. Here's to hoping that we get a polar bear sometime soon so that I can finally have the trifecta and be at peace. And that's the video. We're almost done with this Tanknomaly of characters, and hopefully we should be done with this godforsaken role in the future. Anywho, a big thank you to all of my channel members on screen here. Members get access to my videos a day early, exclusive access to not only my Discord, but special channels in there where you can chat with me and my other members, and priority when it comes to things like personal account reviews and whatnot. If you guys want to support me directly, consider buying me a coffee. It helps keep me well fed and gives me motivation to continue doing these videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I gotta get started on the next one. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.